All pirates, yes, they rob I.
Welcome to Weed Wednesdays, produced by International Broadcast Media, better known as IBM.TV. I'm your host, Jeff Eichen, human rights advocate and social activist fighting for government deregulation of weed and the release of all non-violent criminals incarcerated for possession of marijuana. Moving violations, parking tickets, IRS debt, etc. Here on WEEDsday, we keep the public informed about all things weed related, including festivals and legislation surrounding regulating the growth of hemp. Today, my guests are
There's something happening here.
Tommy Chong for Lifers. Madness.
There's something happening here.
Okay, everybody, I am going to get back to our beautiful program here, show you how we roll here in Zoom meeting land. We are so excited today. We are having a really incredible morning, and we are not fake news. We are the real news, and we bring it to you as clear as daylight. Today we're going to go on a journey with Jeff Mazansky in jail. I decided I'm going to turn my hat around so you can see my face a little better here. And remember, my hat says "Keep American Hemp" again. Okay, so no reference to all the weirdos out there. We are definitely the weirdos here in marijuana land here on Weed Wednesdays. I'm going to be lighting a candle here for all of our fire victims and for all of our POWs that are still in jail for marijuana. And I have this beautiful marijuana candle holder. So weed just needs to be free, everybody. It needs to be free. And I decided today that we're going to be showing my movie, and our guest host is coming in after her yoga class in about a few minutes here, and she wanted to interview me. And then, yes, to my team behind the scenes, my movie is 55 minutes, and so we'll be showing that soon. So we'll go over a little bit to everybody today, but you get a bonus. You get to watch my movie for free, and it's going to be really fantastic to share that with you all. So to begin, while we're waiting for Kristen, Floor, our guest hostess today. I'm going to get you another video here that is right here that I made, and here it is.
A warning to our audience. The following story contains graphic images of police violence. In Texas, a county sheriff and local prosecutor had been indicted on felony charges of evidence tampering related to the police killing of Javier Ambler, an African-American man who was tasered to death during a traffic stop March of 2019 as he told officers, "I have congestive heart failure and I can't breathe." Ambler's death was recorded by the former reality TV show Live PD, but the footage was never publicly released. On Monday, a Williamson County grand jury indicted Sheriff Robert Chody and former county attorney Jason Nasur on charges they intentionally destroyed or concealed recordings of the killing. Both men face up to 10 years in prison if convicted.
So the way that YouTube works, I've got to replay that and stop that and come back to my face here. So what the hell? They're getting 10 years when our prisoners are getting life for marijuana. So just get kosher kush. I'm looking at the kosher guy here and on my little inserts. So we're really proud to, I mean, we're not proud to be bringing you the news of, you know, the cops that are, you know, promoting the BLM matters and different things like that. We have to speak up, everybody, with our, gosh, our not only our knowledge and our information, but we have to share the news and the real news. There's a network called GNN, not CNN, it's GNN, and that's the Good News Network. And I just found out about it this year, and it's all over the place, you know. And so, I mean, it's not all over the place like it's, you know, sporadic news. It's really beautiful and really great, and it's all the good news, you know. So there is good news. There's advances in global ocean acidity, you know, global warming and things like that, and how they're making inroads in some medicines and how you can make hemp plastic. You know, I have hemp plastic right here that's was made on a 3D printer, and that's it, hemp plastic. It's beautiful. It's incredible. We're going to try to do a 3D printed hemp plastic vinyl album from our vinyl we dropped last year or the beginning of this year at 420. So I'm really excited to share my movie with you today. While we're waiting for Kristen Floor, I should just interview Nugent. So that would be good. But yeah, what's your take, everybody, on are we making progress now that there's 33 legal states? Is it still hypocrisy? I mean, look at this shirt. This is a classic shirt. Hemp will save the planet. And this shirt is 25, maybe 30 years old. It's all embroidered in Bali, and I've had it for so long. It's starting to get holy, you know, so I'll mend it soon. But I'm just telling you, everybody, get the word out. Let's try to, let's get Monkey so Monkey can see here. Come on, Monkey. There you go. So we want to really get ourselves the medicine back into our retirement homes. The CBD is helping with PTSD. There's CBG, there's CBA, and there's things that they're learning, and they're studying freely and legally in Israel for years. I met Dr. Machulam, and in Colorado several years ago. I waited in line for 3 hours, and I got him to sign. Here, I'll show you my signed copy. Well, I don't have my Mechoulam copy. Oh, yes, I do. Here we go. Let's see here. Yep. So I have my signed copy of my Raphael Mechoulam National Geographic Weed episode, and then I had another one, and that's Cheech and Chong, everybody. So these are my Ty Cobb baseball cards, my trading cards. Hopefully I can pay mortgage with them one day, or I'll save them forever. You know, since we've had fires and we've been raising money for the fire victims through my other portal, it's a shame, to hold on to stuff. So those are just collector's items to somebody that wants to collect them. So I'm probably willing to sell them. And you're welcome to PayPal me at Jeffrey Eichen, paypal.me, Jeffrey Eichen, to support us. And next week I'll have a portal for my brown paper tickets to journey into. That'll be beautiful. And let's see if I can go knock on Kristen, see if Kristen's available. So this is how we roll, everybody. We have to get Kristen on Facebook, live on TV. So the new Facebook is okay. Krist. Kristen Floor. There she is. And we'll give her a link. We'll give her a link called Zoom 1. Boom. Okay, let's see if she comes in. We'll give her a couple more minutes and then we'll start the movie. And maybe we'll pause it when she comes so we can get busy with our movie. But I'm really excited to share my movie with you here. So because she said 12:15 and it's 12:16, everybody, we are going to go to Lifers. LifersTheMovie.com. This is my new website, everybody. I haven't done an official launch yet, but this is my movie here. I mean, my movie site. And so you can see me scrolling here. And why don't we just get into it, everybody? Why don't we just get a little bit of me? Let's say hemp hooray, and let's kick back, grab your popcorn, and let's watch a movie today. It's my movie. Tommy Chong is in there. There's ex-cops in there that are talking about it. There's all these people that I interviewed, and Jeff Mazansky in prison. So let's see how Jeff Mazansky does. And this was begun, this project, in 2015. And Sharon Whitson and Vivian McPeak from HempFest, they shared with me some information and about people in jail for pot, and I didn't even know it. I had no idea that there were people in jail for pot, and so I'm really excited to share my movie with you today. Just seeing if Kristen was coming on my laptop there. So we're in technology world. Let's begin our movie and see what solutions we come up with, and have fun and share it with other people. If you go to my site, there's for the time being, there's a free link to watch my movie. And Nugent, I'm going to play my movie. And so here it goes. If I stop my movie, everybody, that's because Kristen Floor showed up. And I'm just seeing if she's showing up yet. Here she is. She has a little answer to me here. Let's see what she says here. Okay, so she's in the waiting room, and I'm going to go get her in the waiting room. So let's pull the StreamYard. StreamYard has me locked. Okay, so she's in the waiting room. So boom. And admit, here comes Kristen. Yay. So she's coming in. I can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Figure that out. There you are.
Hi,
Hey, Kristen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I like your office.
So I teach yoga trapeze classes, and I just got out, so I'm like in my car.
Well, I haven't started the movie yet, and I wanted to let you interview me. That's like a bonus. No one interviews me, hardly ever. I got interviewed once, and the mic was so bad I haven't showed that episode yet.
Oh my
So
God.
so interview me and tell me. I mean, I'm showing our movie today. Ask me about the movie. Whatever you want. Surprise me.
Okay, I got some really cool questions for you, Jeff.
Okay.
So first of all, when I first met you, like you were a big activist that I had never really heard a lot of. You were like, oh, and I want to get the prisoners free. And I never quite asked you, and I never quite figured out. You've done some amazing things with your work. What drove you to want to help plant prisoners in the first place?
Well, who's the granddaddy of the whole movement? Who's the granddaddy?
Jack Hare.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we were on Wilshire Boulevard in LA for 10, 15 years, saying honk if you're happy, and we were on the steps of the government stairs there, playing music once a month for hemp and for marijuana. And Ed Rosenthal and Jack and all of his buddies were on LA radio, and they created this whole movement. And so I had my table. Ellen Comp was there and with me, and we have our stickers that says please smoke pot instead of don't smoke, and Nancy Reagan and all that stuff. But as I snuggled in with the team and Jack Harrer, like Terror, one day I was at his house, and Jack gave me $301 bills out of the shower with his big old fat belly there. And then he came out and rolled some stems and seeds. And I got in the airplane that day with the initiative, and I flew the hemp marijuana legal initiative back in 1995, which was the first national hemp initiative to make America hemp again. And I went into the state capitol in Sacramento with my khakis on and my alligator shirt, and I handed over the papers to this woman that made hemp legal.
Wow.
And so my initial introduction to that whole world was through those two people, Ellen Comp and Jack. And so because of that, my history is beautiful. And then Jack and Ellen came to my house and rewrote The Emperors Wear No Clothes in my living room for the next 6 months. He would come over, and there'd be a lot of happenings, and we had a computer on the floor like a K-Pro or something. And this is the 90s, and they rewrote the book there, the new revision, which is old now. They have another one. And then 20 years later, I'm in Washington State, and I'm at Hemp Fest, and I'm talking to Sharon and Vivian, who run the show at Hemp Fest, and we love Hemp Fest. And Sharon told me we're sponsoring 2 lifers, and I said, "What's a lifer?" And I'm a pothead in the movement. I'm a marijuana activist. I'm a marijuana activist, and I didn't know there were lifers. I knew LV Musica, and I knew people were being killed by SWAT teams in Malibu, dropping down with ropes in their backyard and going in and shooting people just for pot. So I knew what my heart was. But when I found out there were actual lifers in, I decided to learn to be a filmmaker and to go in. And in our movie today that we're going to watch, Jeff Mazansky, I was allowed to go in and film Jeff while he was still behind bars for 21-9.
So I'm going to get to Jeff in a second. So I have a couple questions about Jeff, but first I want to talk about, so when you found out about the lifers, were you already doing, making documentaries and doing work with your cameras, or did you just jump into that?
I had learned a little bit about filmmaking, and I did my first live music video with my buddy in Safeway, and people were rolling their. It was a freedom video for voting. It was to get the vote out, and he was playing his ukulele in near the Jello, and it said free Jello, and I would pan over to the Jello and then back to him, and this old lady rolled her cart by. So it was great TV, and I learned, from growing up with TV, how to have things come in and out of the frame, and how to be sensitive as a filmmaker. And I'm still not the best filmmaker, but I'm telling my story the best I can. And then just intuitively, I learned more about Final Cut Pro, the application that I use, the Apple Final Cut Pro, and I became better and better at it year after year.
That's cool, Jeff. So I'm kind of like, you found out about the lifers, and the next thing you know, you've done what like a lot of us activists dream of doing. You're back behind a prison interviewing Jeff Mizanskey. And Jeff Mizanskey was, I think, on his 18th or 19th or 20th year of a life sentence in prison.
21. He was in 21 when I went in. I went in 2015, and he was freed 3 months later.
So let's talk about that. We'll get to Jeff's personal story in a second, but let's talk about what prompted you, and how did you get into a prison to do an interview with a prisoner? Like, that is difficult.
Well, for my whole life, I was an architectural photographer. My mother was an interior designer, so I studied for 10 years as an assistant. My father said, if you're going to school as a worker, as a youngster, just make it school, make your work your school. And I learned how my teacher, or my boss, who paid me $10 an hour, and I worked 10 hours a day. I thought that was cool to make $500 a week. And I thought that was the best. And I learned what he learned, and his angles and how to shoot architecture. And it was mostly production model homes. And so as I was an architectural photographer for 20 years, I learned how to deliver, how to do my photography, and how to just how to evolve myself, how to change myself, how to reinvent myself. And ask me your question again.
How'd you get into the prisons?
So because I needed to get clients, architectural clients, I learned how to cold call the lady at the front desk, and to get to the main architect that was worth millions. So I learned how to get to the big shot, right? And I said, hey, I'm in town for only 3 days, and which I was, and all these things, and I would weasel my way in. And so when it came my time to use my magic and flow, I flowed right in to the PR warden, the warden that was in charge of media. There's a media warden, and who knew that there's media wardens? And I found the media warden in Missouri, and I communicated with them like 12 times. The first time they thought it was great. The second time they thought it was great. The third time they gave me the rules. The fourth time they gave me the dates. The fifth time I raised the money, and the sixth time I flew out there and hired an assistant off of the National Photographer's Assistant pages. And this guy was cool, and he was super happy. He wore shorts and everything, and he was a professional assistant for photographers that come into town. And so I met this guy, and on our way to film Jeff Mizanskey, we were pulled over by the cops. He was speeding. And so this story goes further because my angels give me the most beautiful, fruity life ever. I mean, I was on the pyramids with my dad in the 70s, and cruising Guatemala because that's where he lives. So my life has been peppered with beautiful things, including flying the initiative, the marijuana initiative, the first one in America to the state capitol. Everything's an adventure for me. So going in to the prisons, you're gonna love this story. This big old burly guy was looking into my cameras, and he wasn't taking any film out of my cameras or anything like that, but he was looking in and seeing that I wasn't bringing anything, not under their rules. So I couldn't wear my hat. I had to go like this on film, and which is fine. I'm proud of my hair, but but the his name was Bear Claw, and Claw was spelled Clough. So I said to my angels again, you gave me the guy, this super sweet guy that was checking me in, and his name was Bear Claw. So like a native, Native Americans were watching over me. So as I went in there, they gave me 1 hour, and at an hour and a half, he was behind the window, and Bear Claw was giving me the thumbs up to keep going because they loved what I was doing. They loved that I came in there. When I went to see Michael Thompson, they freaking loved that I came in.
So let's talk about that. So you're at this prison, and you're gonna see somebody who has been in prison for 21 years for a plant that you just happen to have all this love for. And Jeff Mazansky, like, we're gonna see a little bit of Jeff's story in your movie here in a second. But Jeff, how do you as a person walking from the outside, you just went to Hemp Fest and heard about him. How does it make you feel to walk behind a prison bars where this man has been living for over 20 years without connections to the outside world other than maybe some possible family members coming to visit?
Let me get your question right in my heart. You mean you want me to tell you how I felt going in?
What was it like to come walk into that situation?
Just think about all the liberators in the world. Think about the Dalai Lama. Think about Gandhi. Think about Buckminster Fuller. Think about your father. Our deal is our hearts open up when we're on purpose, when we're doing our God's work. And because I was already affected by nonviolent prisoners being locked away for a plant and living next door or bunking with violent humans, these are soft people. Alcohol people are a little bit more cowboy than the marijuana people that we choose to relax with our 420 as opposed to alcohol. So there's a lot of people for violence in prisons next to these unviolent people. And I said, here I go. I'm going to start to do my angel work.
So you're interviewing Jeff Mazansky, and I'm just for the listeners, just to let you guys know, this is his 21st year in prison. He ended up getting out. Jeff ended up getting out after the interview. He had a petition, and it helped change his circumstances, and he was free. Not too much time later, Jeff, you and I and Jeff Mazansky and a lot of us other activists sat there. George Monterano, we all sat in a room, and who was also freed after 32 years. We all sat in a room together and watched a movie about it. It was so odd that these guys were in prison. How do you feel being with him in prison to an interview and then hanging out with him on the outside? What was that like? Well,
when I first started to do this and I met George and Jeff in person, not just as free people on the phone or on a Skype, I told everybody, and I still tell everybody, there's no feeling it's the first time I'm speechless, and I'm speechless today. I can't really tell you the emotion that I have about assisting humans to become free again after they didn't see their granddaughter being born and go to a wedding and things like that. And so it's just my honor to be part of the medicine.
Let's talk about your interview with Jeff a little bit. 21 years. What did he say in the interview that had the most effect on you? Is there anything that he said, or
in the movie he'll say, if all these years will make a difference, it was worth it.
Wow.
He says that, and that's the golden ticket for all filmmakers. I interviewed Tommy Chong, and I asked Tommy in my movie, how was it like to be in prison? And he said it was spiritual.
Okay.
I said, how did you make through all those days and all those weeks and all those months? Tommy was in jail for 9 months for selling his son's bongs, just promoting them. I mean, come on,
I want to talk about Tommy for 5 seconds. He loves our prisoners too. He's signed cards that we have sent to Canada's prisoners.
Yeah, well, he's such a sweetheart. I was at his house 2 years ago in the back by the pool, and he says, yeah, of course, Jeffrey, go to your car, get your camera and tripod. I'm ready to talk to you on film. And he was like my papa. He was spiritual. He's 80 now, and he was talking about learning photography and like me. I was showing him my book project, and he said, I love this. I can do that. Teach me Photoshop. And so he was talking about spirit. He says, I have stuff left to do. I'm not ready to go yet.
That's cool. That's cool. So what are you working on now? What's your
my new movie? My new movie is about the families. And so I'm organizing, with your help, all the families, in a document, and it's just beginning, but that's the second episode of my 6-part episode here. And so I want to start raising the money and doing a full film on all the families. And now that we have this platform that we're on right now, Zoom chat, I don't have to fly to everybody's house.
I know, that's amazing, huh?
Yeah, and so I'm really blessed. Tell us your story. Tell us about your papa in marijuana prison.
Well, Jeff, a lot of working with you hits my personal life a lot, because we both have a passion for the prisoners. And my passion for the prisoners stems from the death of my father, Richard Giles Floor, who he co-owned 5 medical marijuana dispensaries in Montana when the federal government raided back in 2011. He took out 26 in an hour. And my dad, very long story short, went to prison for it. And he was real sick when he went to prison. He lasted in prison for 4 months, completely neglected and tormented to death, fall out of bed, break bones, wouldn't give him his medicines, died with 8 broken bones, undiagnosed colon cancer, liver failure, kidney failure.
Wasn't he chained to the bed?
Well, get this, Jeff. you know the story. You know how, you've been with me. We do this. This is what this is what gets me every time. They call me. He has 2 major heart attacks. Mind you, they weren't giving him this heart medicine. They called me. They transport him finally out of Shelby private prison to Las Vegas in a transport. They were transporting him. That was the transport. And my dad says, Chris, they like me here. That was because they tormented and neglected him to death in Shelby. In fact, we later sued them. You just can't sue no private prison. The federal government is in the case. But anyhow, you don't win. But he said, they like me here, Chris. They're going to take care of me. And I got off the phone with him, and I believed him. Like, I knew the pieces of craps at the other prison was less letting them die. They were just letting them suffer, like neglect, straight neglect. You don't even treat animals the way they treated my dad. Or don't even treat anything the way you treated my dad. But anyhow, I didn't hear from him for 2 or 3 days. And I got a phone call from the U.S. Marshals, and they had told me that basically he had survived his prison stay at the Las Vegas, and he was leaving, and he was going to get on another plane, and he grabbed his chest, and he collapsed there. They came and they got him, and he had 2 major heart attacks. He had 8 broken bones, undiagnosed colon cancer, all sorts of stuff going on with him, but at that point, he had 2 major heart attacks. That was not the cause of his death. They called me. The U.S. Marshals called me. They said, your dad is hooked up to life support. Can you please fly out to Las Vegas? So I did. I got out there, and they told me the circumstances. And, I knew my dad was going to go out at some point. I knew that the problems were bad, but he did all this with no pain medicine. He did all this with no doctors. He went through broken bones. They don't take you and give you medicine. They give you some ibuprofen. That's as much you get for 8 broken bones, undiagnosed colon cancer, liver failure, kidney failure, all this stuff with no pain medicine. On top of that, he had an aneurysm in his heart. He had osteoporosis. He had dementia. He was losing his brain. He'd rock back and forth and hit the floor and break bones, and they just let him lay there for days. Other inmates, like the Indian inmates, Native Americans, they would come and rub stuff on his legs. They would help him. They would wash his clothes for him, come and clean his room for him, because my dad was just too sick to do anything. But then when they transported him, he had the heart attacks. They called me out there. You know, I was excited. I was going to get to see my dad, but I knew it was probably going to be the last time I ever saw him again, which is really important to me that I saw him again. And the last time I saw him was not going to be in the courtroom where he was sentenced, because when he was sentenced, they made him leave his walker there, and they took him off in his pink shirt, and I didn't see him again for 4 months until they killed him, and I showed up. And when I showed up there, I saw my dad, and I just gazed into his eyes, and he came to life. He started to jerk kiddo around. It was simply amazing, because I felt like he was waiting for me. Like he wasn't going to die on their watch. He was going to go out with a bang on his own. And so I spent a couple hours with him. He was unconscious, of course, lifeless. My mom called from prison too, and I was able to put the phone to his ear. And he came back to life when he heard her voice. Just started jerking all around. But yeah, so they ended up taking him off the life support. I was there. And when it happened,
did they ask you? Did they say, hey, is it okay? Yeah.
I had to make the decision to do it.
Right. Cause I did that with my father too. And that was a big moment.
Yeah, it was rough, because not only did I have to make the decision to take him off the life support, but I had to do it in front of 2 U.S. Marshals. Okay, 2 U.S. Marshals. And when it was over, one of the U.S. Marshals walked up to me and apologized. And I was kind of walking out of the room there, and they were taking the covers off of him, and I kind of turned around, and he was still chained. His ankle was still chained to a bed. Like he couldn't even walk, because his bones were so broken. And his osteoporosis, he had lost like over 20% of his bone mass, and so his bones were so brittle. They took his ankle and chained it, and he hated shackles because of his bone situation. It was so heavy to walk, and they hurt him so bad. And so yeah, he didn't even die a free man, but he's free now. He's free now. That's what matters.
Well, to all the papas in heaven, hope they're dancing with David Bowie and with Tom Petty, you know, and
For sure. I know my dad, he's living it up there, and he would never leave me. So since he's been gone, I have a lot more strength now, because he's just all around me, it seems like, because I know he would never leave me. And it just seems like when he left, I came more to life. Like I embodied his death. I embodied his spirit and everything it meant. And I was a cannabis activist before he died, but now I am, like, because whether you take the cannabis, it gets you high, whatever, take that, it's a drug, it's still a plant, and people shouldn't be in prison or die for it. And that's the bottom line.
Tommy Chong said to Jeff Sessions on my movie, he says the pot's already in the pipe, you can't take it out, man.
So funny.
He says you can't take it out, baby. And he did, and he made us laugh, you know, when I was a child with Up in Smoke and all of his movies, you know. So God bless this portal of, you know, of meekness. I mean, thank God we have IBMTV.tv that's supporting us, because we're going to Portugal today. We're going all around the world through IBM.tv, and we're sharing the stories of how just, you know, the nature of how unfair it is and how much we should just change this globally. Because I mean, I showed this earlier, you know, here's hemp plastic. This is a 3D hemp plastic, piece of hemp plastic. Why are we making, you know, our blenders out of not hemp plastic? Why are we making cars not out of hemp, and all of the fabric, you know, for the seats out of hemp? Why don't we have hemp toilet paper? Why don't we evolve, everybody? While Elon goes to Mars, he could be here making a better battery for better electric cars.
So Jeff, what I take out of that is that when I read Jack Hare's book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, my dad actually sent me that book before he died. He said, "Read this, Chris."
Wow.
And I never read it until after he died. But part of it I understand is that it's illegal because they make money off of the other things like the trees, and they make a lot of profits off of like the electricity.
It was William Randolph Hearst and the newspaper industry that made it illegal for paper, because this is hempcrete, and the concrete industry is lobbying to not make it legal because this is better than concrete and it's light.
And it's cheaper to make, and there's not as much profits out of it. Is that
yeah, of course. It's the big pharma that got us in 1937 that made marijuana illegal. It was the newspaper companies like William Randolph Hearst. They wanted regular tree paper to stay the way it is. So I think we're making movement, but not as fast or as big as it should be. Just like BLM right now. Everybody's crying, and I showed a BLM little spot earlier today, and these two cops got 10 years for killing this one black guy, back in 2015 or something like that, 2015, and so that just came out this morning on Democracy Now! But 10 years for these cops for killing somebody?
Wow.
And our pot prisoners are in jail for life, for 2 life sentences. Look at John Knock. He's in jail for 2 90-year sentences. I mean, how do you even say that?
He's in there for 2 life sentences plus 20 years.
I know, but how do you go home to your wife as the judge and say, "I did my job today. Here's my paycheck, honey"? I mean,
I don't know. Well,
it's fucked up. It's fucked up. But bless you.
Scary to somebody that does that. Like,
bless you for being an emotional, caring soul and doing all of your activism work. I've signed many documents with you on the street, and we'll do it again. Our next is Michael Thompson and Lance Glore. Yeah. And Lance Glore, we're working on both of them. Let's watch our movie. And if you...
I want to say something real quick. If anybody wants to help these prisoners that me and Jeff are talking about, the group that I'm part of, freedomgrowforever.org. We raise commissary money for plant prisoners. I'm a board member on the group, and what we do is we take the money that you donated and we put it on commissary, because our plant prisoners are only making usually less than 10 cents an hour. So we help them because we're all out here free and they're not. So check us out, you guys, and thanks for listening.
Freedom Grow.
Wait, let me just tell your audience, I have been part of watching Jeff unfold this movie, and I think I'm even in the movie, and I am in the movie, and a few other people that I know are in this movie, and it's really, really from the heart. So check it out. It's really good. I like it.
Okay, so we're gonna watch the movie. Are you gonna stick around, or are you gonna we're gonna see you next time?
I'm gonna stick around for a little bit. I'm gonna drive while you do it. I'm
okay.
Gonna drive. I have to get. My house is like 30 minutes away, but I'm going to listen and drive and watch it while I drive.
Okay, here we go, everybody. Thank you so much for being our guest host. So everybody, we're going over. Nugent, we're going over today. But I needed to talk to our beautiful guest host today. I'm so proud of you. Your evolution is wonderful, too. I feel your heart. And you know, 3, 2, 1, nobody deserves to be in jail for Schedule 1. You know, it's 3 weed, it's peace, and it's F Schedule 1. So marijuana, we need to legislate it to be re-legalized. Watch my movie, everybody. Here it comes. Okay. Love you. Thank you.
Guys, thanks for What's the name?
Ham Pam Hooray.
Hooray.
Okay, here we go. We're going to show our movie, everybody. So what do you think, everybody? We're going to show a movie here. So I'm going to get us going.
Yay.
Here we go. And mute yourself, please,
Okay.
when you start your
Modern
engine.
cannabis done for you.
It helped me grow my hair back, and it helped me feel better.
There's something happening here.
And what I'm hoping is that it actually brings awareness to people of the harm it's doing, not only the guys that are locked up, but to their families. And how about the money they're spending keeping these guys locked up for something that the Lord put here for us to use. It just don't make sense to me. So if spending this time in prison means getting that done, then it'll all be worth it.
There are still prisoners in jail for life without the possibility for parole for marijuana, for the use of and the distribution of a plant. Many of you may not know that 3 strikes put you in jail for life, for nonviolence, for a plant, for a Schedule 1 drug, marijuana, cannabis, which was made illegal in 1937, an old law that should be wiped out, and we should have reform on that law right now, today. Things are changing, and we're seeing some movement. There are 33 legal states for medical in America, and there are 11 states which are totally legal for cannabis and marijuana usage for recreation and for medical. There are only 4 states left in the whole union, in the whole United States, that are illegal, that marijuana is illegal. What's wrong with this picture? Cocaine is a Schedule 2 drug. Marijuana is Schedule 1 with heroin. So that is what I cannot understand, is why we still have prohibition on marijuana when alcohol is legal. So you make your choice what you do and how you use your cannabis plant product properly to your taste and to your decision. We here at Lifers Madness, a movie, do not recommend or prescribe anything throughout this whole movie. We are here to tell the story and to have interviews and testimonials of how it has helped people and why life imprisonment is old school and should not be anymore the state of the union. So hemp hooray, marijuana and cannabis equals paper, fiber, fuel, medicine, and food. So please, let's get our prisoners, bring them home. And let's not forget, this is officially the war on people. And here we go. Okay, that's it.
Lady marijuana, make our peace grow. So old and yet so beautiful down in our soul. Your fire burns inside me, keep her from the cold. So warm and yet so beautiful down in my soul. The fire burns, my lady marijuana. Watch it burn down, down in my soul. The lady marijuana, make our peace grow.
Lifers, scene 1 + 1, take 1.
So old and yet so beautiful down in our soul. So old and yet so beautiful down in our soul.
We're here with Jeff Mazansky, all the way in Jefferson City Correctional Center. And we're going to be talking today about the beginning of our movie, and we're going to find out a little bit about Jeff's life, his time here.
Well, actually, I think the first time was a little less than an ounce. The second time, I actually had about 6 ounces, but I had to take a sales charge that my nephew made as well, for an ounce.
Right.
Okay, and the third time, I had 2.5 grams out of pockets. I got caught for acting in concert. It was 3 minor, it was all marijuana. When I was actually stopped getting together.
You know, it's really interesting being on the outside looking in, because we don't know how you feel. We don't know. We do know the injustice, but we're not you, so we don't feel it. But our compassion, especially as hamsters, you know, is a little bit of rage.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Did you see this coming, that the time we're in right now, that the dominoes would start to fall? Did you pray for it?
I prayed for it, but being in here, I was really not privy to a lot of that.
Because you didn't get news?
We get news on the TV, and I hear things here and there and a little bit out of newspapers. But as far as the effect of what really must be out there, and I probably still don't know it all. You know, I'm now really catching up on a lot of things,
Sure.
like the medical marijuana, how it's helping. I see where it's helping the kids that are having the epileptic.
Charlotte's Web.
Right.
You heard about that story.
Yeah, and you know, that's great. But how about all these kids that suffered through all these years because of the lies that we were told?
It's Reefer Madness.
There you go. That was one of the first ones.
That was greed for paper.
I mean, look at here, you know, from what I read, we got, if I'm not mistaken, I might be quoting it wrong, but isn't it about 4 acres of hemp can save 7 acres of trees?
Right.
Okay.
Because of all the products it is good for.
Exactly.
Paper, fiber, fuel, medicine, and food.
They buried the pharaohs with it.
They have seeds in the pharaohs. I heard
Exactly.
that. Just recently I heard that. Yeah, that was
That's
really
right.
cool.
And that's right. Our first president we had, George Washington, had a hemp field.
The dollar bill.
Declaration is printed on hemp. In fact, is when we were fighting for our independence, what were we fighting for? And the right to have freedom.
Right.
Do we really have it now? I don't think so. We have some freedoms. We're losing a lot of them. But for something that's not hurting people, they're taking away and locking you up.
Right.
What kind of freedom is that? Because, and I'll tell you why they're locking you up. Because somebody decided that bought a lot of trees that they wanted to make paper products out of it, and they had the money, big business, to pay the right people to get it made illegal.
This is during the William Randolph Hearst time.
Amen. That's right. So, you know, I've been trying to learn all the facts I can about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've come a long way from where I was. But
you know they're making a hemp car now? They can make hemp plastic.
I seen that on the news. And
The hemp car is cool.
I about fell out of our bunk when I was walked in. I couldn't believe that. That's great. So why are we paying farmers now to leave their fields unplanted when we could be planting hemp in there, using it and developing a whole big industry instead of importing it from China?
Right.
years prior to the raid, her husband was diagnosed with a severe form of glaucoma while also battling diabetes.
I had to serve him meals on a tray on his stomach.
After years of various surgeries and hundreds of dollars out of pocket, Gene's pain didn't go away.
There were months that I spent out of pocket $500 on eye drops, and they did not work.
Pharmacist Mark Fink supplied Gene with legal medicine to ease his pain and understood why Gene turned to marijuana.
They found good treatment and something they could afford. This was an avenue for him to get the treatment he needed.
Something happening here.
You're telling me that next month you're going up for sentencing, both of you?
Next month we go to trial. Dan Beats is our attorney. He has filed a motion to dismiss on the convoluted Missouri right to farm bill. He's pretty sure the prosecutor will probably make some really silly last minute plea deal, and we're praying to raise the funds to pay Dan to not have to take a plea. I do not want to plea. I'm almost 60 years old. I've been an RN for 30 years. I'm a grandmother, a mother. I've been a foster mother. I've raised 40 kids. I'm not going to be a criminal by anybody's standards.
Do you believe that there should be any sentencing for nonviolent crimes?
No. And we're out of things to sell now, so we've had to put our property up for sale. And I'd really like to call on one of the more wealthy pot smokers in the country, like Willie Nelson or Cheech and Chong, to come down and buy our farm from us, And then when it's legal in Missouri, make it the first pot farm in Missouri.
How about just for you to stay?
I would love to stay home, but unless there's a major change in fortunes, we will lose it to the bank if we don't sell it and go.
So let's step up, everybody. Free the people, free the plant, clemency, reform, and restitution.
I love it.
Okay, thank you.
Good people don't smoke marijuana. Are we going to see more marijuana use? It's not going to be good. This drug is dangerous. You cannot play with it. It's not funny. It's not something to laugh about.
There's something happening.
These high school boys and girls are having a hop at the local soda fountain. Innocently they dance. Innocent of a new and deadly menace lurking behind closed doors. Marijuana, the burning weed with its roots in hell. In this film, you will see the ease with which this vicious plant can be grown in your neighbor's yard, rolled into harmless-looking cigarettes, hidden in an innocent shoe or watch case.
If you want a quick smoke, try one of these.
You will meet Bill, who once took pride in his strong will as he takes the first step toward enslavement.
Of course, he feels safe.
Smoking the soul-destroying reefer, they find a moment's pleasure, but at a terrible price. Debauchery, violence, murder, suicide, and the ultimate end of the marijuana addict. Hopeless insanity. See this important film now, before it is too late.
Your son is just entering the system. How does that feel?
I don't understand why. Because he was state legal. I mean, he had top attorneys in the state to make sure he was state legal. And then for them to say in there that he wasn't, I don't know how that, is legal. I don't know how our government can treat us like that.
Absolutely. I mean, hearing these stories today, as if I as if I'm not inspired enough to be hopefully one of the people that is leading this battle. Once the United States finally does the right thing and moves this thing forward, the sky's the limit from there.
Here with Jeff Mazansky's family members here, and my name is Jeff, obviously, and we were 2 days ago inside the correctional center in Jefferson City, and it was a pleasure to meet your brother and your father. He's a gentle soul. He should not have ever been in. He should be out now, and I was just really blessed to have time and to shake his hand.
He's a good man. We can't wait to hopefully see him out here.
This has been going on for 22 years now. And how many times a year do you get to physically visit Jeff?
Like I said, 5 or 6 times a year at least.
So that cuts into the budget also, right?
Oh yes, it's expensive to come down here, but it's my brother. How can you take somebody out of circulation for almost 22 years in December for marijuana convictions?
There's something happening here.
So everybody, on August 5th, midnight, we're going to light a candle for Jeff Mazansky. And for the parole board, we're going to focus on the parole board, seeing the parole board saying, you're going home, man.
I can't. I'm at a loss of words right now. I just hope the parole board does the right thing and sees the injustice in his sentence and releases him.
During that 10-year period, that's when I actually started speaking out against these failed policies of drug prohibition. And it was during that time when I first heard of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition and found their website and joined. And then I actually started publicly speaking. I officially became a LEAP speaker in 2008. And then on the board a year after that. And then I actually gave up policing, period, just to become the executive director of LEAP. And I've been here next month, it'll be 8 years as the executive director. And during the past 8 years, I tell you, I've worked harder in my life than ever before. And it's very, very rewarding. So it's not exhausting work. Don't get me wrong. I get tired, I get frustrating, but mentally it is not exhausting because of the rewards that come from this great work. Jeff, the same kind of work that you do when it's something that your heart is really into, that you're passionate about. They say you'll never work a day in your life. So here I am now doing this work, and over the past couple of years, we've broadened our platform. Yes, we're still right in the middle of drug policy reform, harm reduction and all the work that comes with it. Yes, trying to end prohibition policies. We still do that. Gaining a lot of ground with marijuana. We still have a long way to go with these other drugs. But we broadened our platform. to include issues like the one of Alice Johnson, right? Of people who are incarcerated, who have been incarcerated, who shouldn't be incarcerated. I think it's a great thing. People who know me, that I know I can do a really good job at criticizing people, and it's really good to be in a position to speak openly and truthfully about the work that people do or the work that people don't do. And I give credit where credit's due. And I give credit to the White House for this move with Alice Johnson. She needs to come home. Should have been home a long time ago. My opinion, she never should have been incarcerated in the first place.
Young people speaking their minds.
If you want to grow roses, if you want to grow caladiums, nobody has a problem with that. So where did this concept originate that our government could stop us from freely associating with a plant that God put here for our benefit? And so I've fought to change these laws for more than 4 decades now.
They created a law that would effectively be legal for them to imprison thousands, if not millions of people for a plant that proven to be one of the most beneficial plants on the planet for fighting all numbers of diseases and disorders. Studies have proven that that plant grows anywhere for anybody. And it grows wild, and like you say, it grows in ditches, it grows everywhere that's needed. It's God's gift to the human race. And it's just a racist law that has been debunked. And here we are, 2017, and we're still struggling with the legalization. There's still people in jail for it.
My message is, just live life to the fullest. Whatever you're doing, just do it to the fullest. Whether it's learning or in between learning, whatever you're doing, just take advantage of the fact that you're alive, and go for it. That's my message to everybody. Go for it.
Fantastic. And do you feel like telling us the circumstances about how you got arrested for pot?
Well, I got busted 03. It was the Bush administration were just invading Iraq, and they needed some diversion from the press, and so they went after the hippies, and I happened to be the only targeted hippie standing, and so they came out and they gave me an offer that I couldn't refuse. Either go to jail or they would come after my son and my wife, and that's the federal government. So I decided to take the deal.
Did they actually threaten you?
Oh yeah.
Son of a gun.
Well, there's a prison culture in America.
I was innocent. It wasn't my company. I was just advertising, which people do. I wasn't selling anything, illegally. We had a business license. It was just the Bush administration going after the bomb industry. In their mind, they're going after those evil drug pushers. And as a result, I was kind of hinted that I would get a house arrest, but I ended up getting 9 months in the federal prison and becoming a felon.
So as a victim of imprisonment for nonviolence associated with marijuana, what was your experience on the inside?
It was very good, very spiritual. I went in there with an open mind, open heart, and I wanted to make the best of it. I felt like I was a journalist embedded with the troops, and I really studied. I learned how to become a convict. I hooked up with a seasoned old, con that had been in and out of jail all his life. And so he showed me how to do time. There's a way to do time. And he showed me. And then I hooked up with the intellect in prison. There was a caddy, a golf caddy, who took me under his wing and took me into his kitchen, too, because he would cook healthy homemade meals every night. And we never ate in the mess hall ever.
Were you surprised at how long they kept you in?
No. Where I live, I was surrounded by 4 lawyers.
the lawyer across the street gave me the best advice. He said, take the deal, do the time, and then, come out and live your life. Because you can't beat the government. Government is too powerful. And if they want you, they get you.
And what's your take on 3 strikes?
Oh, it's horrendous. The whole marijuana law, all the drug laws, they're all racist laws, including prohibition. Prohibition was a racist law, too. They're going after the Italians and Germans and the French for their wine and their beer. And they're going after the black and the Latinos for their love of marijuana. So all these laws that are still on the books are racist laws, much like the anti-gay movement.
And you know about Uruguay, that Uruguay, the president of Uruguay, do you know about them?
No, tell
It's
me.
the only country in the world where they're using marijuana freely right now and hemp.
Where's this at? Where is this at?
In Uruguay.
Oh, Uruguay. Oh, I love that. Oh, great. I love that. I'm going to go move there. I love that.
Uruguay is the best.
We're here on the planet to learn. And the only way we learn is by making mistakes. And that's the government and that's human beings. And so all these mistakes that are made teaches us something. I was incarcerated for selling bongs.
Okay, and I got a last question for you here. What are your plans and dreams to end prohibition and assist the lifers to see the light and be freed?
Everything that happens on this planet happens for a reason. And prohibition happened for a reason. And I think one of the reasons was that it gave it gave us, because the government or the pharmaceuticals refused to test the plant or to explore its different uses. We were forced to do it on our own on the black market side, and so much we did. The amount of time it's been under prohibition was the time that we needed as a culture to vet the plant and to make sure, without a doubt, that it is the healthy herb, which it is. They thought that they had that with tobacco, and then they found out, it turned very ugly when the cancer got involved. And what they're finding out with marijuana is that it is a medicine. It's been a medicine for 5,000 years, probably longer. And it is a medicine that we're finding out even more uses for. We're going to find out it cures a lot more illnesses than any other substance on Earth. And so we're moving into the age of enlightenment. That's where we're at.
That's fantastic. I'm really proud of you. Any last words?
No, it's just that my battery ran out. You got the last one just in time. Call me again anytime you need something.
This is Tommy Chong for Lifers Madness.
I heard also, and your name was again?
Iva Carruthers.
Hi, Iva. Pleasure. That the revolution will begin with confession.
Absolutely, because the end destination is not reform, but it is really transformation.
Yes.
And that transformation means that we create a new kind of world in which the racialized hierarchy, the ways in which capital is used to disempower people as opposed to providing people with the quality of life that we all deserve, has got to be the end destination. And so when we can begin to think differently about the distribution of compassion, of care, of notions of justice, of notions of healing, of notions of well-being, of notions of embracing the diversity of the world, and driven by the spirit which is common to us all,
Correct.
Then I think we can reach a new kind of way that speaks to a new world order that embraces all of us and affirms our fundamental human rights and our fundamental human dignity.
Do you all see hope?
I absolutely do. I don't think we would.
Yeah,
be here
otherwise
if
we
didn't
wouldn't
have- yes.
we wouldn't keep pushing in this direction. I really actually like Dr. Carruthers to come to the UN with me and talk to these people the way that you talk. I feel like, you know, they need to hear it. The way that you express the need for humanity in this process. I mean, it is so, unfortunately, I spent a lot of time with the UN, and it is, you know, the discussions are so devoid of humanity. I mean, these are human beings, but they've forgotten that they're talking about human lives.
The only thing they don't have are the little curly wigs.
Right,
You know?
Exactly. You know, and that is.
And there's no humor left. No, Monty Python say you got cheese. You know.
But, you know, something that I think that the different elements of the non-government sector or the civil society sector can bring to the UN debate and the high-level debate, and a lot of what is often seems to be quite dry and technocratic discussions, is the human stories that really let people know what the drug war actually means in terms of a lived experience.
Hey everybody, this is Jeff for Lifers the Movie. I'm at the White House, everybody, and I just am praying that we let all the prisoners out, and that we have prohibition to end on marijuana and possibly all drugs. I think that it's a great time to follow the gay marriage paradigm and step it up into Congress. And Jeff is approving this message, everybody. It's not Mission Impossible. It's Jeff at the White House.
What's going on over there?
Optimistic about that, Jeff, but somewhere down the road, hopefully in our lifetime, we will see cannabis legalized in the whole United States and around the world, so that when we can go on vacation, we can enjoy cannabis in a free society.
In a state park, in a national park.
Yeah, right.
So the two major reasons that they had for why they could not legalize marijuana in 2005, they have gone contrary to both of them since then, and we can cite their own decisions on those matters if it gets to the Supreme Court again. I'm hopeful it won't even have to, though. I would just as soon see Congress do what Bernie Sanders and just take it out of the drug schedules, and that would solve the whole problem.
Lady Marijuana.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Hey.
Hi.
Welcome to Lifers a Movie.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here.
Young people speaking their minds.
Tell us a little bit about how you found the plant marijuana.
I found it on Craigslist a couple of years ago.
Searching for information?
No, I actually was just looking through Craigslist, sitting in my far infrared sauna in my garage, and saw something that said MMJ. And I said, "What's that?" And I clicked on it. I had no idea. I was shocked to see people offering cannabis on Craigslist. I'm Kirsten. my friend Jeffrey came over today to talk with me about medicinal cannabis and my personal experience with it. I am a retired homeschool mama of one, recent graduate from music conservatory, and I in some ways miss my boring life immensely, but I'm so grateful for the things I've learned post-diagnosis, post-exiting the allopathic realm. I really was looking forward to life post-homeschooling, reinventing myself, going back to school, something good. I don't know what it was, but good Lord had another plan and another way of learning. No cancer history in my family. I'm the first, besides somebody who was a smoker. Breast cancer, triple negative. So I had a left radical mastectomy December 28th of 2010. I proceeded to go to my deathbed very quickly. Before staple removal, I had an explosion on the chest wall that grew very rapidly. It was an open necrotic tumor. At last measure, with home health nurses coming every day, it topped out around 39 by 39 centimeters. It had a topography of 6 to 8 inches, and it was literally eating me alive. At that point, I was in no shape for cannabis cultivation, even trying to find it. I had no way to begin, and it just wasn't even on the radar. I went with cancer vaccine with a naturopath in the Seattle area who saved my life. When the state of Washington decided that he was no longer permitted to do that, thanks to partnering with the hospital that put the target on my back when I left, at that point, I started looking for other options, found a woman grower who listened to me instead of scolding me on the telephone, and she provided me with my first batches of leaves. I was so grateful. From there, it just kind of expanded. I started learning about the plant. I realized very quickly that the plant isn't only beneficial for cancer, it's beneficial for pretty much anything that ails a person, depending on how you deliver it into your body, either topically through a raw tincture that you can make yourself very simply, through inhalation for the 9 lung nodules via vaporization, as well as golden milk with activated cannabis flower in it. I use it topically as well. So there are lots of different ways to get it in you. There are lots of different reasons, as many reasons as there are people who suffer. There's a lot of suffering, I believe, at the hands. It's compounded by the pharmaceutical industry, and our government is in collusion with them. So cannabis, I started using it, started experiencing pretty spectacular results, things not even related to the cancer. One was a 50-pound weight loss. I gained 50 pounds while taking chemotherapy. Felt pretty horrible, but after a left radical mastectomy, a huge necrotic tumor, compression wraps, deathbed, I had to be 50 pounds overweight in addition to everything else. Chemotherapy really messed with my body. But during the chemotherapy, I didn't lose my hair or anything. The path I chose, which really upset oncology teams at a Seattle hospital, was cannabis, as well as naturopathic intravenous nutritional care and the vaccine. When that was no longer available, I was down to supplements, self-administered, and cannabis. So when I first used the cannabis, I was afraid. I was absolutely terrified. I felt I'd be in a situation where I'd ingested something and I would experience an inescapable terror for X number of hours. I had deep concern and genuine fear, actually. So I ingested cannabis for the first time just before our daughter went to school. We all piled onto the bed to watch a movie before we headed out driving across the country to school. I'd say 30, 45 minutes after I'd consumed cannabis, an inexplicable peace and joy came over me. It was the first escape from cancer, from diagnosis, from PTSD, I'm sure, from all of the horrible care, all of the horrible things perpetrated in hospitals. I had joy, peace. It was a gift from God. And I didn't believe in it. I used to say sarcastically, if your back hurts because you roller skated and you hurt yourself, young person, just own it. You like cannabis, just smoke your cannabis, enjoy it, and don't use excuses. Own your stuff. It was pride, and I had a big fall, and it's okay. The future, I would like to see the leaves, raw leaves, available bulk in the grocery store produce section. I believe they're that vital and important. You've got a body full of CBD receptors, most of them in your brain. God put them there for a reason, and he put this plant here for a reason, two puzzle pieces that fit together. Nature is the pharmacist. I thank you so much, Jeffrey. I thank Lifers, the movie, for what they're doing, for raising awareness in a tragic situation where we are essentially indentured to the pharmaceutical industry in the name of profit. I resent it and I reject it outright. Stop making jokes about it. For the children who have improved, who benefit immensely because of the plant that their parents were brave enough to find, they risk so much doing that. There's such a stigma. There's danger. There's risk. You don't feel safe sometimes growing plants at your property. You wonder who's watching. When a plane flies over, you wonder if they're going to come and rip out your stuff. It's what I have. It's all I have at this point, besides the water I drink and the supplements I take and the prayers. I'm here because we prayed for a mighty miracle and then we watched it front and center.
My hope about reform is really just that if there is problems with substance for people, that they get the help that they need. And incarceration for profit, I don't believe is the answer.
We love meeting you, and this has been eye-opening, a pleasure, and I'm going to be with your family this weekend, and this is the beginning, Jeff.
Well, there's a lot more to be said, and I'm hoping one day I'll be able to be out there to say it.
A Missouri man who thought he would be spending his life behind bars just walked out of the prison where he spent the last 21 years. Jeff Mazansky was given life without parole for a nonviolent offense involving marijuana, but his sentence was recently commuted. He walked away from the Jefferson City Correctional Center around 8 o'clock this morning, surrounded by family. His 2 decades of pain ended with Missouri's three strikes law was repealed in 2014, followed by 390,000 signatures on a petition calling for his release. Then in May, Missouri Governor Jay Nixon commuted his sentence.
This is the beginning. It's such a pleasure to meet you, and
it's a pleasure to meet you.
And I'm looking up at Jack Herrera in the sky and saying, here I am, Jack. I made it all the way in. We're with Jeff Mazansky, and we're so happy to have you.
Praise the Lord.
Okay, thank you so much.
You all started something big a long time ago. You've seen it years and years ago. Other people didn't. the gods up above that I didn't come out with hate. And, I did all I can to make changes in prison, and I will do all I can to make changes out of prison. Make an example that, even though you threw away the key on me, I am a human being, and, I'm trying to do the best I can.
So this is Jeff, and I'm with Landon and his mom, and they're going to tell you a little bit about the Canamoms and cannabis. Do you like cannabis?
Yes.
And has it helped you?
Yes.
And what is your story? What happened before you had cannabis?
Cancer came and it made me sick.
And so what is marijuana and cannabis done for you?
It helped me grow my hair back, and it helped me feel better.
You're the best, man. You're a hero. And so are you still using cannabis for, is it your favorite healing power?
It is.
And do you have it in juice?
Yeah.
Or do you eat it? Do you have food for him or juice?
Not all of it. I eat organic food.
Organic food? Yeah, that's true.
Tell them about my story.
Sure. Hi, this is Sierra Riddle, and Landon and I are here in Seattle to help spread Team Landon's message and the Canamom message of, treating our terminally ill children with cannabis over narcotics and pharmaceuticals that, delay them and put them in a fog and, regress our children's development while they're fighting these terminal illnesses. And, we're happy to run into you guys again. And that was over a year ago at Denver 420. And, as you can see, Landon's still doing really amazing. He's still cancer free. And, it's just been such an incredible journey for all of us, really, to be on. Sure, go ahead. Go ahead, man. What do you want to say?
I want to say Tanner sucks.
No, don't say that.
Cannabis sucks cancer. Right, Mom?
Yes.
Say it.
Cannabis sucks cancer.
Yeah.
Well, watch the.
Got your mic. Oh, thank you. Okay. So your name is Landon? Yes. So Landon just reached the camera and focused on my face, and that's very nice. So he's learning how to be a cameraman. Yeah, you're a little man now. You're doing great. So let me go push it on your face. Yeah, there we go. Got it. How'd that feel?
How about turn around?
So we are, hopeful to be back in Seattle again next year, and speaking about the same thing, and I've run across every day more and more parents who have heard the Canamom message, who have heard the Team Landon message, and, they're treating their children now, everything from cancer to epilepsy, autism, cerebral palsy, Crohn's and colitis types issues. I mean, it's really been amazing for a lot of our children.
Many thousands of years ago, cannabis was used both in China and in the Middle East in essentially those fields in which we use them today. I'm a natural products chemist. I work on the chemistry of compounds found in plants and animals. And I was a little bit surprised to find out that while morphine had been isolated in the 19th century, and cocaine was known also a long time, the chemistry of cannabis was not that well known. People, very good people, had worked on it, but the active compound had apparently never been isolated in pure form, and although its structure was guessed more or less, it was not really known. Now that's not just a chemical problem, because there is no way there is pharmacology or clinical work can be done with compounds that are not well defined. Pharmacology, modern clinical work has to be done in exact terms. And if you cannot actually say we took so many milligrams of something and we know what we're doing and we know the metabolism, well, it cannot be done. So at that point, there were very, very few groups working for cannabis. We got from the police smuggled cannabis. It's hashish. There is a good collaboration between Lebanese, Arabs, and Israeli Jews in smuggling cannabis from the Lebanon. And I asked the police whether they can give me a little bit, and they said no problem. So I went there. I took 5 kilograms of hashish and went on a bus. People were quite surprised by the strange smells that were around. And we started working. Then it turned out that we had broken the laws, and the police had broken the laws, so we were not allowed to do that, and we should have got permits from the Israeli NIH, and which is in the Ministry of Health. So next time I went to the Ministry of Health, and it so happened that my students were working there. So we had a cup of coffee, and they said, okay, and they signed a piece of paper, and for the next 30 years I was it was possible for me to get essentially any amount of cannabis to work on.
I was putting holes that actually were condemned.
So you became just a piece of paper.
Right. I actually condemned. I did time what you call boxcar cells, which were totally legal then and outlawed now.
Thank you, Mr. President, for clemency.
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 They didn't teach us in public school. They didn't teach us in high school. They didn't teach us in college that the #1 plant on earth, marijuana, for paper, for fiber, for fuel, for food, for protein, and for medicine. #1, greater than all the rest. The King Kong plant to the planet that was outlawed, stolen out of our education, so we and our parents would grow up ignorant of what everybody knew in the world 100 years ago. And they outlawed it, and I grew up, and most of us grew up. I was in my mid-30s before I found out that marijuana was hemp. I want to hear how many of you knew this information 10 years ago. How many of you know this information now? It's time to get together and tumble down their walls and let people out of jail. We have 200,000 Americans in prison for something I did this afternoon.
Spending this time in prison means getting that done, then I'll be worth it.
There's something happening here. Young people speaking their mind. distance from behind.
Jeff Eichen here with Lifers the Movie. I'm sticking to my story. Thank you all for joining in here and watching this incredible story of people, yes, still in prison for life, for a plant, and for nonviolent crimes. It's time to level the playing field and to tell your authorities and globally to end prohibition. We can do this, folks. We have to. It will manifest in so many different ways across the board. Hemp hemp hooray. I mean what I say. Reform, clemency, and restitution. It's a good time to speak up and through film, share this with the world and end global prohibition.
This is Tommy Chong for Lifers Madness.
And I'm Jeff Mazansky.
And we're for LifersTheMovie.com. Free the plant, free the prisoners.
Free the plant, free the prisoners. Free the planet, free the prisoners.
Free the plant, free the prisoners.
There's something happening here. There's something happening here.
So share this movie and share your thoughts and keep the conversation going. Jeff Eichen for LifersTheMovie.com. Blessings. To end this war on people.
But the one feeling I will never forget is that I had to return back to my cell and look at my friends who were still serving life without parole and have to tell them that I was going home. It was one of the hardest things that I ever had to do. And though they were grateful and happy for me and told me don't worry about it, that one day they would get their chance, in the back of my mind I knew that the percentages were that they were going to die right there in that cell that I was standing in with them.
Got me emotional, everybody. So let's pull me up here. Here I am. I'm going to say amazing. I haven't watched my movie for quite a while. Right over my shoulder is a picture of my dad. And so, Howie, I made that for you. I know you're free and on the other side, and you were never really in jail. But I'm just blessed that that I have everybody on board here to share. You know, I'm just amazed. So let's stop this here. Stop live stream. Okay. I'm just amazed. I didn't watch my movie for quite a while, and it's actually pretty good. So give some feedback. You can look here at the paypal.me.jeffrey.eichen. Let's see here. Let's raise the bar here. I have a little bit of a issue here. Okay, here we go. So if I can raise that up, it's going to be over here. I guess not. So anyways, it's paypal.me/Jeffrey Eichen, JEFFREYEICHEN, to help support for my new movie. Before I do my GoFundMe for my new movie, which is going to be about the families. I hope you enjoyed that, got through it all, and just heard everybody's articulation. And this is years ago, but it still is right now. This is what we're dealing with, everybody. So 3 is weed, everybody. That's our new peace sign. 2 is peace. And F Schedule 1, marijuana needs to be taken off the schedule. And I'm so blessed to be presenting with IBM.TV today. And Nugent, can you roll us out? And thank you so much, everybody, for this. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, pirates, yes, they rabbi.
Welcome to Weed Wednesdays, produced by International Broadcast Media, better known as IBM.TV. I'm your host, Jeff Eichen, human rights advocate and social activist fighting for government deregulation of weed and the release of all nonviolent criminals incarcerated for possession of marijuana, moving violations, parking tickets, IRS debt, etc. Here on WEEDsday, we keep the public informed about all things weed related, including festivals and legislation surrounding regulating the growth of hemp. Today, my guests are
There's something happening here.
Tommy Chong for Lifers. Madness.
There's something happening